This question is from 2017 AMC 8, problem 24. Mrs. Sanders has 3 grandchildren who call her regularly. One calls her every 3 days. One calls her every 5 days. No, every 4 days. And the last one calls her every 5 days. So we have one calling her 3 days, one calling her every 4 days, one calling her every 5 days. Okay. All 3 called her on December 31st of 2016. On how many days during the next year? So in 2017, did she not is a keyword, receive a phone call from any of her grandchildren? And to answer this question, I'm going to use the standard technique of principle of inclusion and exclusion. Principle of inclusion and exclusion. Some of you may know this as PIE, P-I-E, principle of inclusion and exclusion. And it's basically a counting technique where we see how we are including some items in some categories and the overlaps between some categories and how we try to make sure we don't overcount at the end. So let me show you what I mean by that. To answer this question, what I'm going to do is I'm going to count how many days during 2017 did she receive a phone call from at least one children, phone call from at least one grandchildren. And once we know this number, we can subtract it from 365 to figure out how many days she did not receive a phone call. So how can we figure this out? Well, start by realizing that the first grandchild is going to call her every 3 days. So she's going to call her on day 3 or January the 3rd, then day 6 or January the 6th, day 9th, and so on. So this grandchild is going to call her the multiple of 3 days. Multiple of 3 when the day number is multiple of 3. How about the next person? Using the same logic, the next person is going to call her day 4, day 8, day 12, and so on. So that's going to be multiple of 4. And for the last person, it is going to be multiple of 5 using the same reasoning. So by saying she received a phone call from at least one grandchildren, I'm asking you how many days out of day 1, so we're looking at it from day 1 all the way to day 365. We're not looking at day 366 because it's not a leap year. It's 2017 and 2017 is not a leap year. For some year to be a leap year, it has to be multiple of 4. It has to be multiple of 4, and there are 2 more constraints to that. It's actually slightly more complex than that. But 2017 is not even multiple of 4. It's odd, so it's not going to be leap year. So we wish to find how many days from day 1 to day 365 is multiple of 3 or multiple of 4 or multiple of 5. So let's start with multiple of 3. How many days are multiple of 3? Well, just dividing 365 by 3 quickly shows us that 121 days are multiple of 3. And doing the same thing for multiple of 4 should get you 91. And doing the same thing for multiple of 5 should get you 73. So we know, just dividing 365 by 3, 4, and 5, we know she's going to receive phone call in 121 days, and 91 days, and 73 days. So is this going to be our answer for this question? And the answer is no, because we are overcounting. What do I mean by overcounting? By overcounting, I am saying that we are counting more elements than we are supposed to. You're counting more days than we are supposed to. And how come? Because there are days that's multiple of 3 and multiple of 4 at the same time. There are days that's multiple of 4 and multiple of 5 at the same time. There are days that are multiple of 3 and 5 at the same time. And there are some days that's multiple of 3, 4, and 5 all together at the same time. So we are overcounting those days. If you're not seeing it, think of day 12. For day 12, you're counting it as multiple of 3, so it's included in 121, so you are counting it once, but you're counting it again as multiple of 4. So day 12 is being counted twice when it's only supposed to be counted once. So to stop us from overcounting and get back to what the value is supposed to be, we can start subtracting things. So we can subtract multiple of 12, which are multiples of 3 and 4 at the same time. We can subtract the number of values that's multiple of 20, 4 and 5 at the same time. And we can subtract the values that's multiple of 15, 3 and 5 at the same time, because each of these values, the values that's multiple of 12, multiple of 20, or multiple of 15, are being counted twice. So we have to subtract them. Now there's one more case we have to address, but I'm going to get to it soon enough. But let's start by counting this. How many days are multiple of 12? Well, that's, you can just divide 365 by 12 and you should get 30 days. How about 20? Well, that's going to be 18 days. And for 15, that's going to be 24 days. Just dividing them out. So we know we have to subtract 30, we have to subtract 18, and we have to subtract 24. Are we done? Very close, but not quite, because we have to consider multiple of 60, because multiples of 60 are multiples of 3, 4, and 5 at the same time. So how do we address this? Well, let's think about it. If something is a multiple of 60, you're counting it once as multiple of 3, you're counting it once as multiple of 4, you're counting it once as multiple of 5. So far, we have counted that value 3 times, but you're subtracting it as multiple of 12, you're subtracting it as multiple of 20, and you're subtracting it as multiple of 15. So if something is multiple of 60, you're adding it 3 times, we're counting it 3 times, then you're taking away 3 of them, so we're not counting multiple of 60. By the way, we're setting up this equation. We were not counting this a single time. You counted it 3 times and took it away the 3 times. So we simply have to add it back in just once. So how many multiples of 60 are there? Well, there's 6 of them. 365 divided by 60 should get you 6, not counting the remainders, of course. And so when you add 6, we should have our answer. So what is this? 121 plus 91 is 212. Added to 73 gets us 285. And we are taking away how much? We are taking away 48. We're taking away 72. And we are adding 6. 285 plus 6 is 291. We're taking away 72. So we get 219 as the number of days. She is receiving at least one call from her grandchildren. Okay, so we know there's 290 days she is receiving a phone call, but we wish to find the number of days that she is not receiving a phone call. So simply we want to subtract it from 365, and that should get us 146, or D, as our final answer.